We are back in the building. Listen, welcome back. I mean, this week, I'm just going to give you all sugar right now. Sugar. And I'm telling you this week, my guest that I'm about to bring on. First of all, welcome to No Excuses Presents the Ray Lewis Show. If this is your first time, buckle up. If you come back every week, then here we go again. Listen, this week for me, I'm super excited. A lot of you know about my wrestling career, and I was probably a better wrestler than I was football player, if you could believe that.
Right.
This next guest that I'm bringing on is somebody that just wowed me the first time that I saw him just wrestle on a mat. And I thought he was the most dominant thing I've ever seen, and he became my inspiration to keep wrestling and take wrestling because of my relationship with my father not being there at the time. And I saw this guy wrestle and I was in awe of just what the mentality he had going at what he did. And without further ado, I want to bring on the 1988 gold medalist Olympic champion, Kenny Monday. My brother, how are you doing, man?
Thanks for inviting me on, man. You know, I'm a big fan of the show, man. Big fan of yours as well. And, you know, it's just good to be here, man. It's good to see you. And I watched, man, you've had some great guests on, man. And it's funny, it's fun, it's exciting, it's inspiring. So, man, I'm humbled to be in. I'm humbled to be here.
I gotta go back because in 1992, my high school coach ended up calling your team to try to get in touch with Kenny Monday. I was at the time, whatever, the most dominant wrestler in Florida, and he wanted me to wrestle the great Kenny Monday. Do you remember getting that call in 1992?
I do, man. I didn't know who Ray Lewis was at the time, and it's funny because when we met, I told you the story, right? Because I remember the coach calling me, and I was so in training and getting ready for the 92 Olympic trials. And I was so busy. And I just, at that point, man, I was starting to say no to all like camps and clinics and appearances. And I had to focus in and really try to prepare for the games. And so I said, I told him I couldn't make it. But I was watching from afar, man. But I do remember the phone call. And but you know, I didn't know that was Ray Lewis. I didn't know that was Ray. I didn't know that was Ray Lewis. Right. I didn't know.
This was funny about our relationship, and this is what's funny that you guys should know how we met. Like I idolized him for so many years, and just so happened I'm sitting at a car wash, and I'm getting my car wash, and I lean my head back. And this image walks over me, and I look up, and I'm like, there's no way this is Kenny Monday. There's absolutely no way this is Kenny Monday. And that's how we
unbelievable.
Met at a car wash. That's how
I know, unbelievable story, because I was coaching that time at the Black Zillions. And with Rashad and Usman and Vitor Belfort.
Yep.
And we had just finished practice. And I car wash. So, you know, I love to have a clean car. So went to the car wash, which was only 2 blocks down from our gym in Boca.
Yep.
And I came out, and I remember I turned my car in, and I saw this white Rolls Royce. I'm like, man, somebody's driving a Rolls Royce. Who's that? Right? So I come out, and you had your head down. You were like looking at your phone or something. Yep. And I look over, and I said, man, that's Ray Lewis. We had never met. And so I went over to you, right? And I said, hey, how you doing, Ray? How you doing? I'm a big fan. You kind of looked up and said, yeah. And then you kind of did a double take. I said, my name is Kenny Monday. You're like, what? Kenny Monday? The Kenny Monday? And so, yeah, the rest of the I tell people that story, they cannot believe that story. I'm like, that's how you guys met? And it was such a blessing to meet you, because if I wouldn't have been in Florida at that time, we would have never met, right?
Yeah.
Probably.
Bro, look, let's go all the way back, man, to Tulsa.
Right.
And some of the things that you had to deal with coming up when it came to race and discrimination of not only just blacks in your communities, but black wrestlers and things like that. What got you into wrestling at 5 years old? Tell me about the YMCA. And
right.
what got you there?
Right. And just a great story, because that's where I started wrestling, at the YMCA and after school program. There was an after school program, and my elementary school was 2 blocks from the YMCA. Mm-hmm. And so I have 2 older brothers, Mike and Jim Monday, that started wrestling before I did. I was like only maybe 4 or 5 years old. And so I would follow those guys to practice. And it just kind of how I started. And as a matter of fact, the street that's on where the YMCA sits today is named Kenny Monday Place. And that's where I started wrestling. But yeah, I just, we got into it, man, just after school program. And before we had a coach that was a wrestler. He was like sport director at the YMCA. And so he wanted to start a program, and that's how we started. And this so happened that he wanted to start a program and started a wrestling team, and I just kind of fell in, and I never looked back. And I just fell in love with the sport. And I think one of the reasons that I continued to wrestle is I recognized right away it was a martial art. Mm. A lot of the kids I grew up with, like karate guys, that's doing the Bruce Lee times, man. And Bruce Lee was a big name, and everybody was doing karate. I started wrestling, and then I recognized right away that I could take those karate guys down, and they could never, they couldn't get up, right? And so I had the advantage, and so that's kind of how I started wrestling. I'm starting to get some rain, man. It's starting to rain on me.
That's what makes it beautiful when it's live.
I know, right? But yeah, that's how I started, man. I got to get this thing centered. That's how I started, and then so I just never looked back. Yeah, that was in 1965 when I started, right? I was born in 61, so it was like 65, 66. So it was a tough time to wrestle, and it was we would show up in Oklahoma like only one of the only black teams, we were only black teams, and sorry about that, Ray.
No, you're good.
And can you see me?
Yeah.
And so we were only black teams, man. So we would show up at the tournaments, and we sometimes we wouldn't be in the registered on the tournament, on the brackets, right? And so they would it was a resistance, man. It was just like some of the parents and some of the organizers didn't want us at the tournament, right? And so we would have to fight our way through it, man. That was really, Ray, I tell you this, it was one of the only times in my life that I thought about quitting the sport.
Wow.
Yeah, because we'd show up, man. It was just not everyone was like that, but a lot of the kids were like racist and didn't want us there. And of course they wanted to win, right? So they didn't want us there. And then some of the parents wouldn't want us there. The referees were like taking matches from us, man. It's just like really, it was hard to win. And so I remember one time I was wrestling this kid, and a really tough kid, and he had beat me a couple times before that. And so the referee took the match from me, and then I came off the mat, right? I gotta get situated here. I'm sorry. So I came off the mat, and I'm sorry about that, man. And so I didn't know it was gonna rain on me. I was outside this camp. You see me?
Yeah, this is real life. Go ahead. I love it. This is real.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. And so I came off the mat, and I was crying. And my dad said, "Look, you can't change that. Referees, they're gonna do what they do. You don't worry about that. You worry about working hard and continue to wrestle. And it just can't be close. The matches can't be close, right?"
Wow.
And so from that point on, and it kind of changed my life. On, I was like, I worked my butt off, man. So because I was afraid that the referee was going to take the match, right? Mm. And so I worked my butt off, man. And then so at the matches, I was a different kid. I was a different kid, man. I was like coming out fired up, and I was so afraid that the referee's going to take it that I would go off on a kid, man. I was pinning kids, and it took me to another level. It really took me to another level. And because I never wanted the referees to take that match. And so, man, it just, it motivated me, but I was afraid, man. I was afraid that they were going to get me. So I would come out, man, and I would just be so intense. And just took me to another level. Really did.
So you took that Oklahoma State, you landed Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
3-time All-American. Probably the most decorated wrestler that came out of Oklahoma State, unless you make and introduce me to somebody else. But then you go to the 1988 Olympics, my brother, and you do something else. And this is really interesting, right? Because on my segment today with Championship Mentality, we're talking about how do you overcome adversity, right? So it's really interesting that we're having this conversation with you, because 1988, you become the first Afro-American ever to win a gold medal.
Yeah. I mean, it's an amazing thing, because we had some great champions come before me.
Yeah.
You know, guys like Lee Kemp, guys like Campbell, Carl Adams, Bobby Douglas, which coached me in the Olympics.
Yeah.
Bobby Douglas made the 1968 Olympic team, and but he got fourth place. He didn't medal, and then he was the first black coach to win NCAA title as a coach at Arizona State.
Wow!
And so, you know, Bobby was one of my heroes, and man, I really didn't. I knew the fact that I had opportunity to be the first black Olympic champ, but it just didn't dawn on me. One day after practice, you know, we're in Seoul, and Bobby said, "If you win, you're gonna be the first."
Wow!
And it just hit me, man. It hit me like a rock, right? But it motivated me, it inspired me. Like, wow, that's right. When I thought back on it, I go, man, you're right, Bobby. And he said, so yeah, you're going to make history tonight. You're going to make history this weekend. So, just an amazing thing to witness, but also to be a part of. And you know, but it was kind of a scary thing when he first told me, because it just all of a sudden it lifted my my mindset, and it lifted me up. Like, wow. I mean, that's something that will last a lifetime, right?
Yeah.
I don't care if you're the first at shooting marbles. If you're the first world champion, you know, they can't never take that away from you, right?
No.
And so it was motivating. I didn't shrink from it, man. It really it inspired me more than anything. You know, to be the first.
That's so big. And you won the gold in 1988. So 1992, something interesting happened. You had an arm injury in 1992. And you went into the finals against a guy that you had wrestled before. And I want to say he intentionally tried to hurt your arm in the match. And you fought through that. But you ended up losing that match. Give me what happened in 1992.
Well, you know, really, I hurt my elbow probably 7 days before the tournament started. You know, and it was like the last practice of the day, and I was wrestling with this just one of the alternates. Had an incredible day of training, and really, man, I was 92. I was probably wrestling better than I ever had.
Wow!
Right. Because I won 88, right? And I come back and I win world title in 89. And then I didn't make the team in 90. I got beat in the finals, right? And then that was just because I was traveling, man. After I won 88 and 89, I'm hot